Well, I mentioned the Bears were undefeated on Fox 43 this season. What a thrill it's been to be in the broadcast booth. It's part of a passion for hockey I've had for almost half a century. April 8th, 1995. The Flyers win the game 3-1 over the Capitals in Landover, Maryland. But I win the girl. That's the night I proposed to my wife as she sat 3 rows from the glass at the Cap Center. She said yes, and we were married a little over a year later. So how do I remember our anniversary? It's on a hockey puck. My wedding gift to my groomsmen on the big day. If you let this game get in your blood, it will never leave. And everyone infected has a hockey story. Isn't he adorable? Yes, I'm talking about my dog, Ben. As for me, I'm rocking my first Capitals t-shirt in the mid-1970s. Check the history books. The Caps were awful then, losing 37 in a row in their first season. Here's me again, sitting next to someone on the Baltimore Blades. Anyone remember the Baltimore Blades? Me either. I was on skates soon after, but no team in high school means a transition to other sports. Temporarily. After college, back to the ice to center a line with 2 of my best friends, Dan on the right, Jeff on the left. 1 year later, line mates that share the same blood, my older brothers Ted and Tom. I still remember Tommy and I jumping the guy that hit Ted with a cheap shot. The rest of the team then called us the Hanson brothers. That's a few decades ago. Now I'm fortunate enough to spend a little time telling other people's hockey stories. For example, Bears captain Matt Moulson.
My dad took me out. I think he took me out when I was 3 years old, and I cried the entire time, so he said he was never bringing me out again. And then I think he waited a year. I guess the steam settled from me crying the whole time, so he took me back out, and I kind of fell in love with it ever since then.
The piano never had a chance. Matt chose to make sweet music on the ice instead, always with a stick in his hand. Moulson played in college for the Big Red of Cornell and realized his NHL dream when he scored 30 or more goals 3 consecutive years for the Islanders.
Live and died by the Toronto Maple Leafs back in the day, especially their captain Wendell Clark there. So yeah, I just always loved it, always loved playing it, and working hard to do something that you love that seemed like a bonus.
Now with the Bears, Matt's hockey story evolved to include his own kids, who let him know he was the captain. Patrick Weller is the Bears' assistant coach and a Calder Cup champion player with Hershey. If he would have had his way initially as a kid, he would have never laced up the skates.
My brother's a year older than me, and we started. I was 6, he was 7, and it's not funny, but I actually my dad wanted my brother Chris and I to start, and I actually didn't want to play. So looking back, that's kind of funny because to your point of it getting in your blood. It took 1 season. I've been hooked ever since.
Weller's dad was a police officer, and the family moved around a lot, allowing Patrick to play in a lot of good hockey towns. He says the game has taken him all around the world before he landed back in Chocolatetown as a coach.
I owe it a lot, and hockey's certainly given me a thrill ride that I hope that continues to keep going.
The Capitals' Director of Player Personnel is Chris Patrick, and I'm not sure I have enough time to tell you the hockey history of the Patrick family. Let's concentrate on Chris and just say he became the 7th member of his family to have his name etched into the Stanley Cup when the Caps won it all in 2018.
You go to family reunions, that's kind of all people talk about. I would just sit there and listen to my grandfather's stories, eyes wide open and just loving it.
How could you not get hooked into the family business? Chris played in college with Princeton, and after his playing days, he took a job in finance. But eventually, he took Caps former GM George McPhee up on an offer to join the organization.
For me, this is really the only thing I could ever really see myself doing. Not everybody gets to have a job in an industry that they love, but for me, I've been really lucky to get that.
Player, coach, front office exec, broadcaster. Everyone has a hockey story.